If you had told me a month ago that I'd be writing this, I would have laughed in your face. My name's Daniel, 36, married to Emily, 34, for 8 mostly good years. We have 2 kids, Sarah, 6, and Max, 4. My sister, Claire, 38, is married to Jason, a seemingly affable guy I've known since they started dating in college. We were all close, one of those tight family stories people envy. Sunday dinners, shared vacations, birthdays, the works. And then everything changed at one family celebration. It was supposed to be a special day, my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. They'd rented a beautiful country house with a big garden, enough space for all the kids and grandkids. Everyone arrived buzzing with excitement. My dad was giddy, my mom kept tearing up. We'd all chipped in for a live jazz trio and a catered dinner. I'll admit, I was a little off that day. Work had been stressful, and Emily and I had been distant. Nothing major, just the usual wear and tear of marriage with young kids. We hadn't connected much lately, but I chalked it up to exhaustion. She assured me everything was fine. Around noon, the wine started flowing, the music kicked in, and everyone seemed to unwind. I got caught up chasing the kids and chatting with cousins I hadn't seen in years. Emily seemed relaxed too, maybe a little too relaxed. She'd put on this crimson wrap dress I hadn't seen before. She looked stunning, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Jason seemed to notice though. I caught him glancing her way a few times. I brushed it off as innocent, I trusted them both. The afternoon wore on. At one point, I noticed Emily and Jason laughing together at the far end of the garden. Again, I didn't think much of it. Jason's always been a bit of a charmer, the guy who can talk to anyone. Besides, Claire was busy helping Mom in the kitchen, and I figured he was just keeping company. But as the sun began to set, little things started to bother me. I couldn't find Emily for stretches at a time. Once, when I went looking for her, I found her coming out of the house, smoothing her dress. Jason followed shortly after, hair tousled, shirt untucked at the waist. They both smiled too brightly when they saw me. "Where've you been?" I asked. "Oh, just helping Jason find the extra champagne," she said, breezily. But I knew where the champagne was. Everyone did. I told myself to stop being paranoid. This was family. My wife. My sister's husband. But the knot in my stomach tightened. Later that evening, after the kids were tucked away with movies, the adults gathered by the fire pit. Emily seemed a bit tipsy, her laugh louder than usual. Jason kept finding excuses to be near her. Once, when Claire went inside to get a blanket, I caught Jason's hand lingering a little too long on Emily's lower back. My eyes locked on his. He looked away. I couldn't take it anymore. I excused myself to the bathroom but ended up in the hallway, pacing like a madman. That's when I heard it, a soft giggle, a shushed whisper. I followed the sound down the hall, past the guest bedrooms. There they were. In the dim light of the study, the door cracked open just enough. Jason's hands were around her waist, pulling her flush against him. Their lips met hungrily. Emily gasped softly, "We can't, what if someone—" "We'll be quick," Jason murmured. "They're all outside." I stumbled back, heart pounding, bile rising. I wanted to kick the door down, to scream, to drag them both out in front of everyone. But I didn't. I froze. Some primal instinct told me to get proof first, to know what I'd seen wasn't some wine-fueled hallucination. I slipped away, back outside, hands shaking. I spent the rest of the evening in a daze, barely responding when people spoke to me. Emily eventually returned, cheeks flushed, eyes darting away from mine. When we drove home that night, I didn't say a word. Neither did she. The silence between us was deafening. Now I sit here, a week later, still reeling. I haven't confronted her yet. I can't look at my sister without feeling sick. I'm not sure what to do next. But one thing's certain, our lives will never be the same. The days after the party were a strange sort of hell. I was stuck in this loop, reliving what I saw, questioning if I'd imagined it, and then cursing myself for not bursting into that room. But I knew what I saw. My wife, in another man's arms, not just any man, but my sister's husband. I could barely look at Emily. I'd get up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, and avoid eye contact. At night, I'd lay in bed next to her, stiff as a board while she slept peacefully. Or pretended to. By day 4, I was unraveling. I couldn't eat, couldn't work. I'd open a document and stare at the screen for hours. Finally, I called in sick. I needed time, not just to process, but to plan. I had to know the extent of it. Was it a drunken mistake or something deeper? The doubt was killing me. That night, I waited until Emily was in the shower. My hands shook as I opened her phone. The passcode hadn't changed. I went straight to her messages, nothing. But then I checked her email, her hidden folders, and finally an app one didn't recognize, a private messenger. And there it was. A string of messages between her and Jason. I can't stop thinking about you. That kiss wasn't enough. Next time, I want more, we need to find a way. My breath caught. This wasn't a drunken lapse. It had been building. God knows how long it had been going on. I copied the messages to my own phone. Proof. If it came to it, I needed something solid for my own sanity, if nothing else. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I waited until the kids were at school. Then I told Emily we needed to talk. The look on her face said it all, she knew. I sat her down at the kitchen table, phone in hand. My voice was calm, too calm. I saw you with Jason. At the party. Her face went white. I didn't say anything then. But I know it wasn't the first time. I've seen the messages. Tears welled in her eyes. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. Don't insult me with lies. Just tell me the truth. She broke. Tears streaming, hands shaking, she confessed. It started a few months ago, she whispered. I didn't mean for it to happen. We were just talking at first. And I was so lonely, Dan. You've been so distant, so focused on work, on everything but us. And Jason, he listened. He made me feel seen. I wanted to scream. I've been working to keep us afloat, I wanted to say. For this family, for you. But I just stared at her. How many times? I asked. She hesitated. Twice. The first time was the party. Before that, we kissed, but that night was the first time it went further. It was like a punch to the gut. Even hearing the truth didn't ease the blow. And Claire? I asked. She doesn't know, Emily said, her voice cracking. Jason said it would ruin everything. We weren't going to tell anyone. I laughed bitterly. You already ruined everything. For the next hour, the conversation spiraled. Emily begged me not to tell Claire. She swore it was over, that it was a mistake. But I couldn't promise that. Not to her. Not to myself. You need to tell her, I said. Or I will. Emily sobbed. Please, Dan, think about the family. About the kids. But the damage was done. Family? The family I thought we had been shattered the moment she crossed that line. I packed a bag that night and stayed at a hotel. Told her I needed space, needed to think. A few days later, I sat across from Claire at a quiet cafe. My hands trembled as I told her everything. Watching the color drain from her face was almost worse than hearing Emily's confession. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Claire didn't cry. She just nodded numbly, like her world had tipped off its axis. Thank you for telling me, she said quietly. I don't know what I'll do yet. But thank you. It's been 3 weeks since that day. Claire and Jason are now living separately. Emily is still at the house with the kids. We're not speaking, except for logistics. The papers are ready, divorce is inevitable. I'm still broken. Still angry. But there's a strange clarity now, too. People think betrayal ends with fireworks, screaming matches, doors slammed, dramatic exits. But the truth is quieter, colder. It's the silence that follows that's hardest to bear. I'm taking it one day at a time. I don't know what my future looks like yet. But I do know this: trust, once shattered, is almost impossible to rebuild. And sometimes the people you think are closest to you can be the ones who cut you the deepest.